welcome back to the podcast. I'm Will, and this is our second Fortnite podcast. I am joined today again by Jason.
Hey.
And we have a new person on the podcast today, Bobo or Andrew, as we were talking about in the last video.
Yo, what's up?
All right, so today we're going to be touching on a couple of things. First thing we're going to have is Bobo reviewing Season 6 and what he thought of it. So go ahead.
So, I was a fan of Season 6. In all honesty, it was definitely a step up from the nightmare of SMGs that happened mid-Season 5. But, in all honesty, I think the mobility that was given in Season 5 was far better than this season. And the changes that were done to mobility in Season 6 were definitely a big issue.
All right, so you automatically just led into my exact next topic. What did you think of the mobility changes this season?
I was not a fan overall, though there were some good items like the balloons. I liked, especially during glider redeploy. That was huge.
Jason has his own opinions on the balloons as well, I know.
Yeah. I'm gonna just get straight into what I believe on the balloons. I believe the balloons are a great mobility item. I believe they are generally a way for players to have quicker movement while also letting these better players of the game, the players that are Season 2 and are much better at controls overall, be able to pull off better feats. And there is a way with the balloons that if you deploy one balloon, you will not take fall damage when you fall from a high height. And it's due to this that the higher skill players who can hit that balloon just right before they hit the ground are able to pull off much better, are able to have much more confidence in building giant build battles and are much more willing to do more eccentric things because they have something that can protect them should they fail.
Yeah, and I also love the ability of just using one balloon to bunny hop around the map. It's a lot quicker than walking, but it's also not as slow and obvious as 6 ballooning up to max height and then falling.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So,
and the bunny hopping, I think there's something that would definitely be noted in it. And I think I'm going to segue a little bit into another mobility item, which is the shadow stones. The
shadow cubes, I think. Shadow
cubes.
Yeah.
These are items that increase your speed a lot, and they make it so that way if you run over, they're very good. They make you invisible, and they're generally a very enhancing mobility item. And I think the bunny hopping with the balloon is something that we're going to see going into Season 7, that it's going to kind of replace that because I highly don't think we're going to be seeing these shadow cubes into Season 7. It doesn't make sense.
Although, one quick thing, I do know Hot Rocks were Season 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now we had Shadow Cube Season 6. I wonder if we're going to have something that continues that trend into Season 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
There's going to be something. I'm very interested to see how they're going to change mobility because the past 3 seasons they've all been mobility items. The Rift, the Shadow Cube, and the Hop Rock.
Yeah, so real quick, just touch on the Rifts. I personally think Rifts are a really good addition to the game when they came out because as we heard Jack say earlier when we were discussing this, it's a great way if you're near one to just get away. And if you have a Porter Rift, obviously you can just use that and get away. However, they are very like a beacon to your location.
Yeah. The exposure that comes with using a Rift is definitely a risk. In all honesty, I haven't noticed it. Yeah, it definitely balances the item out. And
it really does.
I still think that we need some more Rifts. Like, I was for sure upset when between Season 5 and Season 6 we lost a number of the Rifts around the map. And now they're only at very select locations. I liked it when they were all over the place, and I understand that it was basically it was like Season 5's thing to have the Rifts, but they still definitely sped up the gameplay of the game to the point that was, I would almost say, more enjoyable.
And another thing to note about the increased mobility, and we haven't even gotten into the Quad Crusher or the ATK yet, but it generally makes these areas on the edge of the map that would have been very bad land locations. If we're talking
Junk
Season
Junction,
4,
Flush Factory, for example, Lucky Landing.
Lucky Landing, Wailing Woods, even. I would even go
Alamo.
as far as Alamo, which is the small town in the desert in the bottom right hand corner of the map.
That's
these are
what
areas
we call
that,
Alamo.
Yeah. These locations would not be good landing spots if we don't have high mobility. If I land in Lucky Landing in Season 4, there's a very high chance I'm not going to be able to make it to the storm, out of the storm, because it's too far and there's not enough mobility. But with this increased mobility, it makes these places far more usable and far more accessible. So that way, if I'm a player at Haunted Hills, I can explore around Haunted Hills undisturbed, and still not worry about it.
Probably the biggest location that experienced the most impact from this change, as well as just basic map design changes on top of it, is Racetrack. That was a near, you would be lucky to find someone there on a good drop. It used to be a desolate location, and yes, they've changed loot there too, of course. But
it's been completely redesigned.
Yeah.
And
I think another that helps as well, but the introduction of actual moving vehicles and making Racetrack much more relevant, and that really hammered that home.
And that I think will transition us into our next topic of these vehicles.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we get into actually, I kind of bit on the vehicles. Another example of a great landing place that was made even better going into Season 6. I mean, you have the Season 5 Paradise Palms. Paradise was an okay landing spot. A lot of people landed there. It is pretty much the tilted of the desert area. But it did also have the problem that most of the desert area had in Season 5, where pretty much your only means of transportation was rifts. And rifts are okay, but they're not as good as items such as the Quad Crusher and the ATK. And when you now have a lot of Quad Crushers and ATKs in these areas, you have the Rifts of Season 5. Rifts of Season 5 are a good mobility item, but they're not the best. You can do stuff with them, but they weren't as reliable as a Quad Crusher, an ATK, the balloons, even the Grappler, which is something we haven't gotten into. All these items speed up movement at a far more reliable rate than the Rifts were.
Yeah, and it made much more long-term choices.
Yeah. It made places like Paradise much more usable in the longer scene.
Yeah. All right. So you mentioned the quads and the ATKs. Let's talk about those. Quads, I definitely think were a great addition to have for the ATKs because they were much more suitable in different situations.
And I think something should be noted about the fact that both are still usable. I think they can be they're usable in different situations. If you have a highly communicative squad, you want to use the Quad Crusher, and if you have a random fill squad, which no one has the mic, then you want to be using that ATK because now you're all together at one point and you're all in one mindset on where you're going.
And that's a point that Bobo brought up earlier when we were discussing this. And it really is, I think, the reason they added these two different vehicles to be able to specialize in these different situations.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's completely why Epic still has both of them. And
because having both, it's not too bad because like you have the option and they're both common enough that you can choose between one or the other without having the relying factor on one or the other.
Now, speaking about a mobility, I'm going to say something real quick. Speaking about mobility items that Epic left in the game, why are shopping carts still in the game? I personally don't see any need for them anymore.
Yeah, I totally forgot about them when we were thinking about this. Shopping carts were a great first mobility item to transition into that phase, but nobody uses them anymore. I have not seen a single player in the entirety of Season 6 using a shopping cart.
Honestly, I think Epic should give something to the shopping cart, and I think it should be silent. It should be a silenced vehicle because if you look at ATK and Quad Crusher, they're loud.
Yeah. Now, from a logical perspective, though, that makes zero sense. It should logically be clamoring and collaborating.
Yeah, I understand that, but if we're gonna make this a usable item, it's pretty much just a solo player's item, and the solo player doesn't want to be extremely loud. But the shopping cart's loud, so why doesn't the solo player just use the Quad Crusher?
So, one quick thing, looking into Season 7 with mobility, I watched this video earlier today of a YouTuber named PlayStation Grenade, and he does a lot of like analyzing leaks and stuff, and he had the idea of possibly the hoverboard from Save the World coming into Battle Royale.
Okay,
now, I don't know how accurate that is. Jason,
All right.
hold on. I know you have thoughts about that. I don't know how accurate that is, but this guy, he didn't have like a lot of stuff for it, but he did expect to see new stuff. And he did mention that it may not come in the form of the hoverboard. It may become like a snowboard. Yeah, or skis.
I could see a snowboard or skis, especially as a challenge minigame. But I don't think it's not going to. I think they might take the same aesthetic from it. I don't think it's going to perform or operate the same way that it does in Save the World, though.
Simply put, and I'm gonna talk about this real quick. I play a lot of Save the World. I play a whole lot of Save the World. And simply put, if the hoverboard from Save the World was in Battle Royale, it would be catastrophic. It is an item of. If you imagine the Quad Crusher's mobility, it is insane how much higher the hoverboard is. You can dodge midair, like just anything, on a hoverboard, and it's a fast-moving object. It's extremely adaptive, and how they would add it would also be weird because it's the current hoverboard is. I mean, I guess you could have it as a random item sitting on the ground that like you can pick up, just like
a place like a trap.
Well, no, I'm more like it's more like the ATK. I can see it probably being added. It's just something you find on the ground and you can start using it. But even so, it's. I think it would be too good of an item. It would.
And then that's where, like, I've seen there's weapons obviously that come into Battle Royale from Save the World a lot, and
I think,
they have to give it nerfs because it's designed to take on monsters and save the world, not people in these situations.
Yeah, and I think something
it could easily be done well if they did it right. So, for example, let's say one of the spawn points are on top of Stunt Mountain. If you put them there, that would put a great opportunity for challenges, and B, a good mobility option if you're at Stunt Mountain and you're trying to escape the storm. Now, on top of that, it could be done well if they make the proper tweaks. For example, I think what they should do is probably have it so when going, like, there wouldn't be like throttle or anything. When going downhill, that's the only time you can gain speed, and when going up or on level ground, you would always be going walking speed. That would definitely make this thing
and
much
with
more
that,
balanced.
they'd have to keep the same jump though, because that would just be too much of a nerf.
Yeah, then it would be unusable.
A quick little thing before we go further into how you can nerf and buff this item. The simple fact is, if they take the exact hoverboard from Save the World right now and they just make it like the ATK, we would get an item that is pretty much going to do what the ATK did to the shopping cart. It's going to make the ATK and the Quad Crusher completely irrelevant. And it isn't a matter of...
If they brought the hoverboard into the game, I would guarantee you that Epic would do it in a way that would not create the other mobility items to be obsolete.
I personally don't want to see it. I would be very...
I would like to see it as a snowboard. I would definitely like to see it
as a snowboard. As a snowboard.
I would mind seeing something like an emote that's like a snowboard, like what we have with the tomatoes and
that's true. They do have the one where you ride the hoverboard kind of thing.
That would be really cool, and I would like that.
But the ride the rocket emote.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Something
Sorry.
like that. That could work.
I don't want to see it as a vehicle. I think it would be too much, and I don't think it's necessary.
Now, I think, in all honesty, I think they should reskin all of the Quad Crashers in Season 7 to be snowmobiles. Just a reskin.
Yes,
they would function the exact same, but just be a reskin. I don't think
ATK should get little ornaments hanging down. You know how they have the little dice cubes? They should have an ornament instead, or like little reindeer antlers or something like that. All right, so I think we've talked about vehicles enough. So last mobility item that we've seen new is the grapplers. Yes. What do you guys think on that? And they did get that nerf of 15 shots to 10 shots. Also include that, please.
I think it's a great item, and I don't think the nerf is necessary. I think that pretty much just sums my ideas on it. It is a very usable item. I personally love it.
I would agree with you on the nerf as well. It was great to have 15 shots, because people made in good plays with it that were tactical. And it wasn't that overpowered. It didn't have... I do like how they increased the range of it, and I understand that's why they got rid of the amount of uses. But
the range increase is not even that much. Like,
yeah, it could still benefit from the 15 uses.
Yeah.
When back when first got the change, I just honestly saw it as a flat nerf, and I was very unhappy with it because I thought it was a very usable item, and I don't see why exactly it needed it.
Yeah, that took a lot of the playability factor out of the...
Yeah, because personally nowadays, why would I pick up a grappler with 10 shots when I could just pick up a gun,
balloons,
or balloons, or a gun
a grenade launcher as a
or explodes or extra meds or like whatever.
Yeah, I could grab anything else and then just go over to a quad crusher. And I
However,
still get the speed.
If it is early game, I drop down and I'm in a town with a couple other people, and all I have is a shoddy AR, I would definitely pick up a grappler.
Especially at the new Leaky Lake, that can be a beast. If you get a shotgun and a grappler at the new Leaky Lake,
because there's so many,
and then
there's so many protruding.
Those ramped rocks in the area, you can grapple on top of them quickly, unexpectedly, and drop an unexpected person camping up there with either an AR or any other long-range gun.
And it's just it's a great first tactical repositioning item, but in the long run, I would totally...
They do definitely have a place where if you're getting shot,
you didn't pick up the... So many protruding...
those ramped rocks in the area, you can grapple on top of them quickly, unexpectedly, and drop an unexpected person camping up there with either an AR or any other long-range gun.
And it's just... It's a great first tactical repositioning item, but in the long run, I would totally...
They do definitely have a place where if you're getting shot at from those ramped rocks in extra jump height that you have.
Yeah. And another thing about another item that I think was unnecessarily removed is the impulse.
Yes.
I understand we have super impulses now, but they don't make you take fall damage.
And
the impulses
impulse plays.
You had to do it right. And if you didn't, you didn't pick up the impulse nade.
Even when looking at the trailer for the impulse nade, when it's been originally added in, it was in the trailer. It was used as an item to kill people using fall damage. And now there's no item in the game that can do that. It's almost like
chillers. Chillers is the only item that technically could do that.
This is something we missed.
But I hate chillers.
Something we missed in the original video is the chillers.
Yes.
I think we touched on it in the original video that it is pretty much a prelude to the next season. But first, let's get Andrew. What do you think about the chillers?
I like the chillers. I think they can be used for some definitely like interesting and creative plays, and I've seen a lot of really nice ones. Yeah. But it should not have come this season. It should have definitely come next season.
I would agree with that as well. Me and Jason touched on something.
They should not have vaulted the bounce pads over it.
I agree with you on the bounce pads, but I do believe they should have came this season. And touching back to something that you said on the grappling hook, which is that in our discussion we talked about that the grappling hook kind of was like a misdirect. A lot of people thought it was just something that was going to be released for the event, Heist, but it was released for overall. So it kind of like pulled a 360 like out of nowhere on us. The other, I think the chillers, if they were added in the beginning of season 7, a lot of people would think it's just a season 7 item.
Yeah.
Which I think Epic, the reason they released it this season is just to be like, no, this is actually here. We're actually keeping this.
Which I don't think is necessary because it's a very situationally specific item.
I think it's needed. I think it's a good item. It
serves its purpose.
If there's no more impulses, I think the chillers have purpose.
That is true.
And
but I do really wish they kept the bounce pads over it.
It definitely is a good white trap. If there's a white trap in the game, that is what it should be.
Another thing about chillers is going back to mobility, and there's a lot of mobility items this season. Most items and other ads in this season were about mobility. I think the biggest thing with the chiller is if you place it down and you start sliding and you have just a slight inclination, then you're going pretty fast. And it's noticeable how much faster you're going.
And you're so much more vulnerable now.
Because you can't control it
Now,
yourself.
At the same time, you can abuse that system as well to get a very fast-moving shotgun switch to an SMG play on someone.
I personally use the chiller.
Which is a difficult thing to do, though. Keep in mind.
Yeah, you have to practice and use it right, or else you're going to take fall damage, or you're going to get one pumped in the face with the new shotgun buff.
Yeah, and I think the chillers personally are a great item. I use them a lot because I like having that security. Like, I like the balloons, but they're not secure. You can't be assured. I mean, yes, as I said, if you're falling, you can pop that balloon and you'll be safe. But
that takes skill.
If I'm flying around the map with 3 balloons, I'm not going to be assured some guy is not going to pull out a heavy sniper and ping me. Because it's not hard to hit you. It's really not hard to hit you.
All right. So last thing I can think of right now, and I know there's definitely going to be a lot of heat on this one. Turrets. Go.
I think they, on console, are a great idea. I think they definitely serve a purpose. I think if you want to build a giant fort and you want to pop a turret, all right. They're easy to take down on console because I can pull out a heavy sniper and pretty much net you almost instantly. But if you're on mobile, and I do play mobile, I play a decent amount of mobile, they do not deserve to exist.
Yeah, I was in a round today. And I was playing against a turret. I was on low ground. I was in Lucky Landing. This guy was on top of a building, had a turret. The only reason I managed to take him out is because my teammate was distracting. I got to the high ground, or like mid ground, not where he was, but mid ground, and I found that angle and I heavy sniped him. That's the only reason we ended up winning that fight, and we actually ended up getting a victory royale that match, which was pretty great. But a little sidetracked.
As I completely agree with what Will just said. It's turrets or a situational takedown, which shouldn't exist.
Yeah,
they're not a situational weapon. They're a type of thing where you place it, and it's situational if you take them down. Yeah, and that has no place on mobile Fortnite.
Yeah. I mean, on console, what do you think?
Even on console, I think it is a scum gun. Like, if you have a turret in your inventory and you put 2 down and double turret someone, it is a nightmare. There's no counter building. You have to find an unbreakable cover to get behind, because even pre-built structures, this thing is cutting straight through it. In all honesty, I do not think this thing should have come as a trap. If anyone remembers back way long ago, in like console and PC specifically, if you're playing and you just open the game, there was the old loading screen when it said loading, and it was like the 2 people on top of the car. In the background, there's a railing that has a heavy machine gun mounted on top of it. In all honesty, I think they should have been mounted to pre-built structures in the game and had specific hotspots.
When I heard mounted turret, I thought it was something that it would be like an LMG that you'd pick it up, it would take up an inventory slot, and you would take it out and you could put it on the top of like an ATK, but not in an overpowered way. You know what I mean? It would have 100 bullets. It would not, like, it would have a slower fire rate because if like it was a mobile item, and I expected something that would be balanced and fair, but that is not what really we got with this.
I have always wanted a heavy mounted machine gun, but not in the way that we got it.
I never wanted that. I don't think it serves any purpose besides the fact on console you can actually take it down.
However, I am glad they gave it that nerf of a 10-second until cooldown to 6 seconds. It was very much needed because you would straight up be burning through mats, hundreds of mats for those 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, now still double turret is still very viable, though. It's still between the time.
I don't think anyone would be upset if Season 7 drops and the turret's gone.
No one would be upset, except for the mobile players that depend on it.
Yeah, now, I will say, some streamers took it very harsh. Like, Myth made a tweet saying, whose idea at Epic Games was it to add this goddamn nightmare turret? Or it was something along those lines of, like, insulting whoever made the turret and came up with this idea. And that, especially coming from someone with that much influence, can really hurt people at a game company like that. Well, because it's not really just one person's idea. This goes through teams upon teams upon teams of people working to get this new item out. And
here's the thing.
Appeal to all the crowds.
Here's the thing. I think Epic going into the turn overestimated, and I think something we've said in this video a lot is what Epic was thinking. Mobility this season is the highest we've ever gotten it. Let's add a weapon that if you don't move, you'll die. But the thing is, mobility isn't high enough to stop a turn. You would think about it in your mind that how do you stop an item that can only move in 180 degrees? At the time.
No matter how many mats you have, you're done.
Yeah, if you have 999 mats and you can build, as long as that other person has a turret, your mats are going to be burned through before you know it. That, or they're going to just be lasering you and hitting you through your little gap.
Yeah, it isn't okay. I honestly want it gone. I don't blame the person who made it. I think Epic overestimated movement. I think they did. I think when they made this weapon, like, well, we got the grappler and we got the ice thing, maybe they can move fast enough to avoid it, and they just can't. You just can't.
Yeah,
it's not a thing that's possible. All right, so I'm going to introduce a thing we talked about before the video, a little side thing.
Yeah.
Old location map changes. All right.
Specifically, Carbide's house and
the
villain rocket layer.
The villain's away. Another example is Greasy Grove.
They're evolving and they're changing to look old, run down, almost abandoned.
Yeah, and I think we did touch on Greasy Grove before and how they, in the last video, where they got
it's going out of business.
They got a pest infection and they're done. I find it kind of funny that a burger joint has a pest infection. But if you look at
we did touch on that.
Carbide's house is completely almost run down. It is deteriorating rapidly.
I am very curious to see what Season 7 brings to Carbide's house. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a whole remodeling version of it.
Or if it's just still ruins.
Or if it's still ruins, yeah.
I think the reason they still kept the location going into Season 6 is because it's a momentum. Season 6 was a lot of momentums added to the game because they realized that we have locations. As I said in the last video, I believe this is the end of the first arc, the end of the first story block, and we're going to be going into the second story block once we get this winter event with Season 7. But I believe Epic's doing this because they want players to be in Season 8 looking back like, what happened to Carbide's house? What happened to the villain's aware? And still be able to pop in and be like, this place is still here. It's just deteriorated now. Nobody's here. Nobody goes here because it's useless.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we go into Season 8, not Season 8, Season 7, and they make the mountain and the villain's lair start collapsing in. Because the support should start wearing out. And I wouldn't be surprised if we go to Carbide's house and it's starting to turn into like rubble. That'd be kind of cool to see the evolution of these places. Now, Greasy Grove, I believe, deteriorating is going to lead to the opposite kind, where instead of it being a momentum, I think it's going to be a building place. There is another location in Greasy that's becoming bigger, which is that Central Mall. I see that taking over the town.
I personally wouldn't be surprised if either the Central Mall takes over the entire town and it turns into a mall location, or B, if that's where the supposed iceberg crashes in and we just get rid of Greasy Grove altogether.
Yeah.
Me and Jason, we have to wrap this up soon because we're getting really long on time. But me and Jason also touched on the little cove in the southwest of the map. We think that's where the glacier is going to touch in and spread the snow to the southwest area.
And if that's what happens, I think we can begin seeing changes with Viking becoming frozen over. I believe Snobby's going to get canned. Honestly, I don't see it continuing to exist if they actually do this ice idea, because it doesn't fit with the theme of the areas around it. And I do see Greasy turn into a high commercial area, because in Christmas there's a lot of commercialism, and I think Epic's going to do something with that, whether it be a mall, whether it be a giant like Christmas town. That would be pretty cool, like a gingerbread town. Something. I believe we're going to see some major change to the style of Greasy Grove.
I was definitely. I heard this theory on Reddit the other day that what if Flush Factory becomes Santa's workshop?
I saw that. I did see that.
I think that would be a very interesting change.
Yeah.
And it would keep Flush as a location, which has been dry for near 3 seasons now.
Yeah. I honestly don't think anything's happening in Milwaukee, and here's my reason for it. Not because I'm a Lucky diehard.
I think it's
Lunar Holiday. Lunar Holiday is in this season. We have the Chinese New Year's approaching in January, I think, which is going to be in this season 7. So I think we're going to get some changes to Lucky, but I don't see it getting canned, because honestly, it's that type of location.
Hopefully, we get a couple events there, though. Yeah. Like some celebration event or fireworks going off in game or something like that.
Yeah.
Nothing too big.
And the other thing about Lucky is it's far enough to the west that it isn't going to get. I don't think it's going to get affected by the glacier stuff in Flush. It's far enough to the east that it's not going to get affected by the desert stuff happening. So pretty much you got this perfect location at the end of the river.
Can I say though that Lucky needs quad crushers?
It does.
Yes.
It needs at least one spawn, or it needs some mobility item.
One double spawn. Like there's the rift nearby, but it's not enough. Especially if you're supporting at 2 squads dropping Lucky, it cannot. We need more mobility options. It's the bottom line.
Yeah. All right, so Bobo, this is going to be probably our last thing before we wrap it up. But me and Jason, we touched on the fact of thinking there might be some sort of. Do you remember right before the giant meteor event, how there was the in-game interaction where you'd have comets falling towards end circle?
Yep.
What would you expect to see? Me and Jason both would expect to see some sort of thing like that where we have snow coming into the map, and if you got hit by a snowball or something, you would get a chiller effect or you'd be slowed down for a little bit.
I would believe that. I don't think it's going to be that drastic. I don't think it's going to be like big snowballs coming in and hitting players. I honestly think that every once in a while we might end up seeing snowflakes on screen. And that will be our little hint. I don't think it's just not. I don't see how it would fit really logically into there being a snowstorm out there and that damaging players on the map. Although I will definitely and when you see those little snowflakes on your screen, that's going to be a huge moment that people are really going to enjoy. Just that tiny little teaser. It doesn't need to be as complex as people think. That one little snowflake can still cause a ton of hype for next season. And make it just as interesting and intriguing as the meteors were.
All right, so me and Jason, in terms of weapon changes going into season 7, we're expecting a couple of reskins, obviously, on the snowball or the grenade launcher to be a snowball launcher. But we were thinking there wasn't going to be too many weapon changes or weapon additions or taking out because they have a good loot pool right now. Obviously, there's going to be controversy no matter what they do. But we were thinking a seasonal item that may come in would be a snowball. You pick up a stack, say 15 snowballs, you'd throw it, does 5 damage, and it slows down the player for...
No, I would say the chilled effect.
I would say the chilled effect as well. I would say definitely you throw it, it gives them 5 damage and the chilled effect. I think that would definitely be a good weapon. That would make a very interesting design on terms of a throwable item, because in terms of throwable items, we have clingers, grenades, and stinkers. And
dynamite.
Building off of the snowstorm idea, this is something I just want to put out there. We could expect, now I'm not betting on it, but there could be a situation where the entire map gets snowed, and to make it so that way it's not like season 2 where everything's one biome. it can make it like different types of snow. Like if we go over where the mountain area is, where like you got Stunt Mountain, the Villains Wear, Viking, you could have thick, like really deep snow that makes you walk slower. And then going back to your snowboard idea, you could snowboard down there to move faster. And maybe on the areas around the rivers, you get ice, which you would have to, when you walk over it, you have a random chance of going in another direction, which would be really interesting.
If the whole map gets snowed, I am definitely interested to see if there would be any temperate zone between the snow and the desert, or if it's going to be just snow and then desert, because in all honesty, that would look really weird on the map.
Yeah, honestly, I think the desert already looks weird, and I think we already need a temperate zone.
We need a transitional phase of having it. It doesn't even need to be a temperate zone. It could just be grass cuts into the desert and desert cuts into the grass a little bit. It's just a fine line, and it's really unsettling to me. I don't know why. It's just
I get that.
I think we need a location to just plop right on that line and just be like.
Or a river.
Just build like a wall around it.
Or a river. A river would definitely work, actually.
Yeah.
A river, or like even like a gully, like a valley.
Yeah. Make it. Well, there kind of is over that bridge spot, but it's not the entire.
There isn't really a valley.
I mean, over the entire thing, make like a little gully.
I think that would definitely be a good place for a river. Now that I think about it, actually.
The thing is, the number one unsettling spot about the desert is the difference between Lonely Lodge and the desert. You have pretty dense trees and a forest that just cuts immediately into desert.
Yeah, it's definitely weird playing at racetrack and then trying
to
snipe
not even
people.
Just racetrack, carbide.
That's what I'm saying.
Carbide
that's what I'm saying. I think we should see a river there, and the river delta should happen right at that transition point, and we should see the river go into a waterfall where we see it by truck stop.
I think that's a little much. I think that's a little much. I think we can expect to see, because there's more snow, when snow melted, because it would melt going into the desert area, it would turn into water. I think that canyon area where the bridge is where we could see a river forming. Which would be nice.
We appear to be out of time, however.
Yeah, we are. All right.
So thanks for watching, everybody, and if you enjoyed, leave a like. This will be on my channel and Jason's channel, and hopefully Andrew's channel as well. I think you got your channel back up, right?
Yeah, I am Bobo Rail, no spaces, no caps.
Yeah, and of course we'll have links in the description for all of each other.
If Jason decides to use his description. Yeah. All right. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
We hope to get another one out. Our next video will hopefully be on a review of season 6 week by week. Hopefully no longer than this video. Very minimal in terms of detail. But yeah, any final thoughts from you guys?
Just make sure to like, subscribe, comment. I like comments. I agree with you guys' comments.
Yeah, we like feedback, because then we know what we can do and what appeals to the viewers.
And if you dislike the video, then
tell us why.
Then you will die.
No, I will delete your Fortnite account.
Your Fortnite will be vaulted in the Fortnite vault, and then you will never see your account again.
You're gonna be stuck
only in playgrounds.
You're gonna be stuck with the dual pistols.
Only in playgrounds. Yeah, I know.